Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, the Yankees finally slay the Green Dragon, defeat the Boston Red Sox in Boston, and have, of course, the Saturday night game, probably the best win of the season. An exciting comeback win for the Yankees, sticking it to the Red Sox for once, giving it to them, and possibly, maybe turning the corner here of what we've seen from the offense. Really turn it on here, and of course, Aaron Boone's got to be relieved. Because, again, I thought he was a little bit of getting into dire straits here. This is the way this team has been over the past couple of weeks. He gets slapped around for the Mets by home. Again, that final game get blasted 12-3. And then even in the Friday night game, okay, the Yankee offense came to life. But then, of course, Luke Weaver and Holmes blow the game. Another crushing loss there. It couldn't get any lower for the Yankees, and they were just about to lose again on the Saturday night game, where it could have been a hole where I don't know if they'd be able to crawl out of. I know they're only down one game in the AL East standings there, but I mean, you take all these blows for after a while, and I don't know how many you could take, but the Yankees able to come back and stick it to the Red Sox, finally get a win against their closer, come back against their closer there, and of course win the Sunday night game real easily there, less stressful, and a nice weekend win for the Yankees there. So we'll get into the whole thing, as well as again the Jazz Chisholm move, which kind of got into last time, but just kind of how that all relates into this, and Gleyber Torres, whether he'll be here or not. Again, some Jack Curry mentioned that possibly moving him to third base there, which would kind of solve the DJ LeMahieu problem a little bit. But again, we'll bounce into the whole thing. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. And it's on YouTube as well. Not updated as often, but exciting because you get to see me, which is, twice as great. So go to YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe there as well. And, last episode, again, got into the Jazz trade and everything. I kind of felt it was kind of a bit of a shot against Gleyber Torres. Now, got to take a step back a little bit. Again, I have been beating up on Gleyber Torres, and it's well worth it up to the point. But yes, over the last stretch of games there, I believe over the last 8 games, he's been hitting 321. And when I look back over the last 15 games, he's been hitting 333. But that doesn't mean he's not open to criticism, because up to that point there, up to the last 2 weeks, again, he's been kind of brutal for the Yankees. Again, hitting in the low 220s, 230s, which again, he's up to his average around 238, 240 right now. Again, not a little crazy with the average. Again, he's driving the ball more, he's getting more hits. That's all good stuff. But up to the point where I was really hammering hard there, he was not doing well. It was kind of a big disappointment for the Yankees, making a couple of blunders mentally, not hustling a couple of times there, and just kind of wondering where his head at is. Again, he's in his final year of this contract. He's in this arbitration year there, and it seemed like maybe the pressure has gotten to him a little bit. We've seen Boone bench him 2 games. That was during the Toronto series there. Again, when he had that kind of issue there at the final game at Citi Field when he wasn't hustling there. So again, he's kind of a tumultuous season there. So again, he was open to the criticism there, but I'll have to give him his due. Again, he bad started to heat up a little bit, mainly because of the Mets series there, and of course in the Boston series, getting even in the losing effort on Friday night, getting 3 hits there, and then contributing with a huge 2-run double in the 10th inning of the Saturday night game in extra innings there. Give the Yankees a comfortable 11-8 lead there, where they're able to go on to win. So big clutch here for him in a big moment. Doesn't get many in the late innings of the games. I know he had one early in the year. I think it was like an 8th inning home run, a big one, 3-run homer down in Tampa there. But again, kind of late in games, he disappears into the no-show, but got to give him his credit. He's been good over the past week there, so maybe he gets a reprieve a little bit somehow with this Jazz Chisholm trade there. I don't know if seriously they're looking to move Gleyber, or somehow this means it's out. But again, at least now Gleyber fighting for his second base job, and hey, good for him, because if he's doing well, it helps the team there. Now, as we got into it, they bring him the Jazz in here. Again, he offers them the flexibility of playing outfield, and that's because where the Yankees at least put him in his debut game on the Sunday night game there. So, again, he can play outfield, play center field. Obviously, he's going to be a better offensive weapon than Trent Grisham, as we all know. Kind of puts Trent Grisham where he kind of belongs. I mean, he is kind of a bench player, and you want to bring him out for late inning defense. That's where you do. But, of course, Grisham as well, got to give him his props in the Saturday night game. Huge hit off Jansen. Ben Rice getting a double, the young guy, and maybe, kind of a big kind of pressure situation. Obviously, he grew up a Yankee fan in Boston, so I mean he's right in the middle of it. So for him, he got a big signing. Gets a huge double, which first it just looked like it was going to be a normal fly at the center field. Again, pretty spacious out there in center field in Fenway Park, but he kept carrying, hit the wall there. He was able to get himself in the scoring position eventually, and then again Trent Grisham battling Jansen there. You figure this is going to be a strikeout just because Grisham, even though he's been doing a little bit better lately himself there. But still, you would give the edge of that matchup to Jansen. But nevertheless, Grisham able to hold off on some breaking balls there. They were called outside and just take a 95 mile per hour fastball, kind of flick it out to against the wall, green monster there. So probably any other ballpark, maybe it's been a normal fly out. But again, the left field short and there with the green monster hits off the wall, and of course Rice is able to score, tie the game at the point. And again, the Yankees get the huge go-ahead run in the 10th inning. Oswaldo Cabrera, the ghost runner there, finds a way to the third base there, and then he able to score on a sacrifice fly, which was not actually easy because it was kind of a little bit of a flare into left field. Left field able to glove the ball, and of course, since it's small, there's it's not a lot of space down left field. But luckily, Oswaldo Cabrera is the right guy at the right time with his speed to be able to score. Maybe perhaps another play would be thrown out there, but he was able to dive right in there. Wasn't a close play at all, and go ahead run. And I mentioned before, Gleyber Torres with a clutch double there, just pad up the lead there. Because again, we've seen the Yankees in these extra inning games, these 10 inning games, they lose all of them. This is like the first one they actually won, I think. So what you have to do in that situation, you can't just score the one run because the other team's going to get the ghost runner there, and you know they're going to tie it. So you almost got to score 2. 3 runs is nice, but you almost got to definitely score 2 runs, especially if you're the road team. If you think you're going to get out of there, and the Yankees can do a little bit more than that, score 3, and the Yankees with a big win there. That's just when you needed it, especially the way this week, really the past couple of weeks have been going. Since the Yankees' last visit to Fenway in June there, that was kind of really the start of the slide for this team, and it's gone over a month and a half. We know how brutal it's been. Now, I'm not saying it's the end of the whole road. The Philly series is coming up. That's going to be tough for the Yankees. They're one of the top teams in the league. So, again, Yankees get smoked in 3 games. It's possible. And we're kind of back where we are. But I think things will get a little bit better because you just see them break it out with the offense. I mean, you had 3 games here in the series where the Yankee offense came out. Judge was just absolutely tremendous in the first 2 games. In the second game there, going 4 for 4. He was on base each time there. He also got a big hit later in the game there. And really, they kind of got overlooked, but Soto with a huge base-running blunder at the point where the Yankees could have tied the game early at 8-8, but he goes past Rojas' stop sign at third base, gets gunned down easily, and prevents what could have been the Yankees tying the game at that point. But nevertheless, Yankees able to get the comeback in the 9th there off of Jansen to get the blown save there. So, but otherwise, Soto would have been like kind of the definitely the GOAT of the game. But again, when you had the win there, an exciting win, that all kind of got overlooked. But huge base running blunder by Soto in that situation. But again, it's Soto, so I guess you give him forgiveness there. And again, the last game less stressful. A good start for Carlos Rodon, which you look at Fenway Park there. Again, not easy place to pitch, especially for a lefty. You got the green monster there. That's just, you got right-handed hitters just licking their chops there, but backs up his previous good start against Tampa at home there. So maybe Rodon now is finally on the mend and starting to look like the Rodon we had early in the season. The guy who was kind of changed his ways and got off to a great start there. But of course, midway in the season, he seemed to lost himself a little bit, but it seemed like we got Rodon back there. So if that's the case, it's good news for the Yankees. Other than that, starting pitching was not good for the Yankees in this series overall for the Yankees. Man, Stroman and Nestor really didn't give you much length there. And this was really almost like a throwback to like the early 2000s Yankee Red Sox games. There was a lot of offense, home runs. That's kind of the way, back in the day with, Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, and Gary Sheffield, and A-Rod, and Jorge Posada, Matsui. Just both teams just blundering each other back and forth there. So you're not going to get too many pitches duels. You didn't get many back then, maybe unless it was like Pedro versus Mike Mussina. All those games ended up in football scores, and that's kind of what we got this weekend there. So a little nostalgic to see a little bit of a throwback there for just for the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, and maybe it's back a little bit because a couple of seasons though, again, Boston has not been good. Of course, we know the Yankees finished like 4th place last year, so they deserve some of the blame as well. But overall, the Yankee Red Sox rivalry has been kind of quiet over the past couple of seasons. It's been more Yankees Tampa, a little bit Yankees Toronto with some of the chippiness back and forth there. So maybe now they're Boston with a good young team they're coming up and coming. Yankees are kind of set with their guys. Maybe they kind of rekindle the Red Sox Yankee rivalry a little bit, just the rest of the way to go in this season and the next couple of seasons to come. So it's been a bit busy around baseball. There've been some trade moves. The Orioles have made some moves. Of course, Tampa is sending out Randy Rosarina, which is good news for the Yankees because he just kills the Yankees, especially Garrett Cole. So I'm sure Garrett Cole's happy. But it's funny, they kept him around long enough just for that final series at Yankee Stadium. Then, once they didn't need him anymore, then they ended up trading him to Seattle. But nevertheless, good news for the Yankees. Won't have to see him anymore. It looks like Tampa's just totally selling off. I mean, they kind of have to. They're at about 500 right now. And Again, both Baltimore and the Yankees are pretty much got a pretty comfortable lead there, at least compared to Tampa. No way Tampa's coming back, so they're just going to start selling off pieces, which is they kind of do, and they'll just keep restocking their farm system. That's just the way they roll with that. And of course, Toronto right now, a bit of a hole pounding as well. Again, people saying that Vlad Guerrero Jr. could be traded, but again, it doesn't seem possible, and I kind of covered that in some previous episodes, both here and on YouTube. Just with 1 year left on his deal, unless someone gives him a king's ransom, it doesn't seem possible. It doesn't seem likely, especially I don't think the Yankees are going to make a move there for that. I think the Yankees, if they do make a trade, something else, I think they're going to go elsewhere. I think they're okay right now with Ben Rice. I know his averages slipped down a little bit, but I think just to hold down the fort and rather use assets to go after other areas, which would mainly be our third base, which kind of gets to what I mentioned at the top there, that Jack Curry on the Yes-Stats suggested that, again, by bringing in Chisholm at second base there, now you would think Gleyber is the odd man out. Maybe he gets traded and moved off, which I was kind of hinting that probably the Yankees should do, but nevertheless, let's just say he stays into the fold there. Then where you put him, well, of course, the natural idea would be at third base. Now, look, I would rather have him than DJ LeMay right there, just because DJ's been absolutely horrible. I just don't know defensively that's good for news for him. We've seen Torres struggle this before. 2020, they tried to put him back to shortstop, and it was probably what led to his big collapse there for a while. He did come up as a shortstop through the Cubs organization, but when he came to the Yankees, they converted him to a second baseman. And when it was him and Didi there, shortstop, Didi was shortstop and he was second base, that's when he was at his best those first 2 years. He was an all-star both years. Everything was going good. They let Didi walk after 2019. They moved Gleyber to shortstop, and then, of course, 2020 was absolutely horrible for him, and 2021 wasn't any that better. And a lot of people say that maybe, the move to shortstop, he was making some errors. Maybe that was getting into his head a little bit, and that was carrying over to the plate. Fine, they put him back to second base. 2022, kind of resurrected his career a little bit. An okay 2023, again, respectable there. Again, was second there for the Silver Slugger Award for second baseman there. But again, the most part of this year, maybe up to the recent 2 weeks, Again, a bit of disappointment for the Yankees and a lot of different issues. Not been hitting well, not been driving the ball, batting average low. And again, we saw some, not hustling a couple times, a couple of, weird, just not heads up baseball defensively. And again, dealing with the groin injury, where it was that the reason why he's not hustling, we don't know. And was he just sulking a little bit just because he's been struggling a little bit? And again, as I mentioned, Boone had to just take him out of the lineup for a couple of days just to clear his head there. So, but again, lately, up the last week or so, he's been good. So I kind of back off the fire a little bit. I'm not against if you want to say keep him and put him at third base. I just don't know, is that going to mess with his head? Because we saw it mess with his head last time, and it's a different angle. Does it have the arm strength? You got to have a strong arm to throw it over there. I don't know. I mean, and so it remains to be seen what they're going to do. But I guess right now, again, unless they package him out and send him away, it looks like he's going to be here for now. But, if you do, then, you're not going to have both Chisholm and him somehow in the same line. The Yankees right now have an abundance in outfields. I mean, you got Verdugo, you got Judge, you got Soto, you got Grisham, as I mentioned before. Now, Stanton's coming up. Of course, he's just going to be a DH for the rest of the season. There's no way they play him in the outfield. But then you have Jason Dominguez. So, what do you do with him, with all these outfielders there? So to me, it looks like Jazz is more destined for the infield, but again, if that's the case, the logical move is then move Torres to third base and then have him at second there, but I just don't know if Torres can handle that, so remains to be seen. But important thing there, Yankees got a big win when they needed. They probably, I gotta say, that definitely the best win of the season. My number one, at least up to this point, was the Sunday game in San Francisco. Again, the Yankees won the first two games there. They were losing 4-5 in the ninth inning, and Soto with a clutch two-run home run to turn that into a 6-5 Yankee win. You get a nice sweep out there in Oracle Park. I guess they call it, back in the day, it was Candlestick, but nevertheless, that was probably the best, most exciting win of the season. But given what's going on right now and everything, and then you lose that first game in Boston the way they did, just choking a 3-run lead late in the game there with Luke Weaver and Holmes. To get a win like that when you need it the most, I mean, that's definitely the best win of the season up to this point, no doubt about it, hands down. That is definitely number one right now for the Yankees because they needed that the most. So they move on. Looks like Stanton is going to be due back during this Phillies series, whether it's the first or second game. So now you have him in the mix. Now lengthened out this lineup a little bit, and Gleyber's heating up a little bit. Now you brought in Jazz a little bit. Now you got a little bit more pieces, a little bit more excitement, and the Yankees are hitting more. Just overall, Judge raked in the series. Soto had a couple hits, big hits in the series, a home run as well. So looks like the bats are coming to life a little bit. That's good. And just want to see the starting rotation kind of get back. I'm not going to go too crazy with the starting rotation right now. Just, again, it's in Fenway Park, and this is a funky park and whatever. But the more dire situation was the offense coming to life, and that happened during this Boston series. And again, hopefully just keep it going from here. Catch you next time.